Well, fellas, we officially have the 47th president of the United States in office, and Donald Trump. The inauguration was this Monday. So much conversation about it, Chan and Fred. What's the things that stand out to you?
I respect democracy. Whoever has the most points at the end wins. I am, you get, I don't want to say, I'm not puzzled, but you get a glimpse into people's perspective, people's lives. You see how people think. You see different, individuals that support different sides. So it kind of opens it up. And I think, honestly, the first time Trump was in office, it kind of let people show their hand. And I think this time it's letting people show their hand again. And it's there's business partners I have that I know we're on different political sides and all of that thing. But I just think the proof's in the pudding. I think there's a lot of promises being told. I think it's a lot of, the Gulf of Mexico is not going to be the Gulf of America. So it's a lot of stuff being said, but I think that's the Trump way is just to say outlandish things and see what happens on the back end. It is what it is. We got the four, in my opinion, happily the last four, and we'll move on with it and hope that things can continue to not be as divisive and be somewhat cordial as we go through this time.
You wrote something a while back, right after the election or whatever, when you said you're gonna respect the office. You're an American citizen, and I feel the same way. I don't, like many of us, we don't always have to agree with a person, whether it's your thoughts, values, beliefs. We don't always have to agree, but we can always somehow find a common ground to continue to be humane towards one another, right? And try our best to be respectful and cordial to one another. I look at this whole thing and look at the firestorm that's been surrounding Snoop, performing, Nelly, Rose, Rick Ross, and all this other stuff. And a lot of times, those things come from our culture because we set these people on certain pedestals, right? These people didn't necessarily ask to be there. They found their dreams, goals, passion, and they went after it. And we somehow started to show favor towards these people. I think people are more upset and outraged with, everything around this inauguration with Snoop's performance. Now, I don't have a problem with it because my expectations aren't set on this man's life, right? Yes, he is a huge voice in our community. I get all of that. But I can't set my standards, values, life around Snoop's decisions. Snoop is doing whatever he's doing for his life, for his family, for his brand. It's his decision to make. So again, I said I was going to try my best in 2025 to put things in perspective. That's my perspective. Worry about my own self. Worry about what I can control. Yes, Snoop's a huge influence in our community, but he's not dictating and determining how I move on a day-to-day. Using a little bit from, again, my good friend Trevor, his book, Getting Back to Neutral. People got to learn how to get back to neutral. Don't let that affect you, right? Reset. Same thing with with Mel, having Mel Robbins on here. The let them theory. Let it. Don't let it control your life. You have to let it go. The let me part she talked to is about how you responding to this. Don't worry about that man going to get his check or any of those other people going to perform. You have an opportunity to make your days better. You have an opportunity to take advantage of the laws that are being created and the executive orders. You just got to find your pivot, right? Just see how these next 4 years turn out for you.
There's something extremely symbolic and significant about the inauguration day being on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Because when you think of Martin Luther King Jr.'s life, it was about inclusion. It was about equality. It was about a dream of bringing everyone together. And it seems like whether it was this election or candidacy or inauguration, it's done everything but that. It has felt divisive from the onset in 2016. And so I think for me, y'all know how much I love Dave Chappelle, right? And Dave Chappelle addressed the president directly, and he was like, you need to do better. I hope you do better. And he said around that, we need to do better as people as well. When you look at the backlash to the Nellies and to the Snoops and to the Rick Rosses, on my side, I understand it. If you're supporters of President Trump, you don't. When we express some of our feelings of the way that certain things are empowered under his voice, we understand it. And from the other side, they're like, well, what are you talking about? And so you have these two different sides that can't seem to feel why either of those sides would feel so strongly one way. And in thinking about doing better, and I was very vocal that I did not vote for President Trump. I was also vocal about the fact that I respect the office. It's hard for me to say I support the office. It's hard for me to say that I hope that things can be different or better, because all we've seen is that things haven't. What you hope from the office of the presidency is for decency. You hope for decorum. You hope for a level of professionalism. But the hugest and biggest thing is you hope that you have a leader that considers all people. Whether or not we speak highly of you, whether or not we take care of you, whether or not we prioritize you, shouldn't be about your race, your ethnicity, your socioeconomic background, because that's a huge split in this world. It shouldn't be about those things. It should be about the fact that you're an American citizen. It should be about the fact that you're human. And even as supporters of whatever side and thinkers and feelers of whatever side we're on, we have to learn that there can be some level of kindness and respect in disagreeing. And that's the place I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to get to the place where humankind matters as much as my kind matter. And I don't feel like people approach it that way. There's been a line that's been drawn and set that can only be erased by the person at the top. Attitude reflects leadership. If in leadership we're divisive, if in leadership we're segregated, if in leadership we're set apart, then how can the attitude of the people reflect that? And so I do hope that President Trump does better. I do hope that we do better. I pray that at the end of this 4 years is so much different than what it was on January 6th at the end of the first 4 years. And if we can do that, if we can come together in some way, I believe we can be better. But if he's no better, then the rest of us aren't. And I think January 20th is the perfect symbolism of polar opposites. What the inauguration has caused, from the people who perform, to the people who pray, to the people who entertain in the band, to the multi-billionaire that all we're talking about is whether or not his gesture was a Roman salute, was a Nazi salute, or whatever it is. We don't seem to be going down the right path, and it's extremely early, and that makes me sad. So I do pray that we do better.